All right. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, welcome back to Lacedaemon's Corner. This is episode 33. If you're wondering where I've been for a while, I've just been really fucking busy at work and riding the ambulance. Right now, I'm riding the ambulance every Wednesday night and Saturday night, in addition to working Monday through Friday. And yeah, I've just been really tired recently. But I decided to go live today because we have two fundraisers I'm going to talk about. And the very first applies if you're an anime fan or like a weeb, or especially if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. Because the first one is let's put the PC shot on real quick. Actually, let's put the PC shot on. So if you don't know, it is the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, the father, the origin of all Abridged series. It is a bit of a lost art, unfortunately, because of all the copyright bullshit that's been going down in the last couple of years. But for a while, Abridged series effectively ruled the anime community in terms of fan content. But now they really don't anymore because, like I said, a lot of these Japanese companies are pretty harsh when it comes to copyright and whatnot. So they're pretty hard to make now and post up on YouTube and whatnot. Especially in this economy, with everything going on, the economy being rough and whatnot. So Little Karibo essentially created this entire genre, and he's still going, actually. Episode 89 of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series is currently up, and they're 88, actually. It's 88 or 89. It's 88 that's up, I think, and 89 will be coming up eventually. He's almost done with the KC Grand Prix arc, which is the last arc in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime before the Millennium World arc, which is the final arc of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime and Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga, and is the end of the entire original Yu-Gi-Oh! Story. Oh, I am getting a phone call real quick. Just bear with me 1 sec. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, folks. I just got a call from my dentist. I had to change an appointment time real quick. Anyway, so going back to what I just said, Lil Karibo has been making the Yu the Abridged series, and his voice does many other roles, both freelancing for internet content as well as professionally for content as well. For example, the description here mentions that he voiced Frieza in the unfortunately now discontinued Dragon Ball Z Abridged made by Team 4-Star. So, as you can see here from the description, unfortunately, the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged is a bit marred by the fact that Little Karibo, or whose real name is Martin Billany, and his partner, I think his partner's name is pronounced Marin Miller. I think that's their name. They're non-binary. Anyway, so Martin and his partner, the bank is threatening to foreclose on their house due to debt that's been accrued over the last few years. And Lil Karibo actually has a video explaining it. I'll watch the video. That's Lil Karibo and Marin, by the way, or Martin Billany. We'll go watch the video. We'll give full context. So as you can see, episode 88 is up now. Episode 87 is also up. So if you don't want to watch the video, want to skip over this part. So what happens is, Lil Karibo is immunocompromised. He's got some health issues. And that's basically preventing him from going to almost all conventions since the pandemic happened for obvious reasons. So that was a huge issue. It was a huge hit to his income because voice actors get a lot of their money from making these convention appearances and getting autographs and all that shit. So getting deprived of that income was a massive blow to him financially. In addition, his partner is a professional voice actor, but their work isn't always the most stable. And unfortunately, with a big strike that happened like about a year and a half to almost 2 years ago, That also kind of fucked things up in the voice acting industry a little bit, especially in Los Angeles, where Little Kribo and their partner are both based in, and that kind of hurt their finances as well. But I'll let Little Kribo explain in the video itself.
Hope you like the 2 new Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged episodes that came out in the last month or so. It seems, based on your comments, they went over pretty well, so thanks for enjoying them.
I think they both went pretty well, actually.
Episode 89, so yay! It may come as a surprise, but this year marks the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. Some of you are likely saying, that's not right, your channel was created in 2007. And bless you guys, because that means you weren't around for the time my original channel got obliterated Exodia style, and I had to start over on this one. But yes, it's been 20 years since Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged began, so yay! With that in mind, I'm going to be doing a series of celebratory live streams on my YouTube channel, all of which will be Yu-Gi-Oh! Themed in some way, either me playing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game or just streaming myself working on Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged episode 89, which means you'll all be getting an early peek at the
There's 88 that's up. 89's not up.
That it is good. So yay! Sadly, alongside the celebrations, I will also be doing a donathon in the hopes of raising enough money to offset how badly I'm currently struggling financially. I am immunocompromised, and sadly the pandemic caused my business of going to conventions and making sales there to essentially stop altogether, and my partner has been struggling to find stable employment. A lot of unpredictable events have left us struggling to keep on top of mortgage payments, and we're likely going to be forced out of our home soon. So I'm kinda resorting to a Hail Mary and asking folks to contribute to my goal of raising enough funds to prevent that from happening, or failing that, not go completely destitute in the process. The goal is currently set to 20k in keeping with the theme of the 20th anniversary, but please know I don't expect or want you to give anything that would put you in a compromised position yourself. I intend to keep the stream going daily starting this Friday, and it'll stop either when we raise enough or when I'm kicked out of my house. So yay! Obviously, I wish I was here with better news, especially for something that should be more jovial and celebratory, but this is the reality I'm facing, and I don't have many other options in the time available. I've set up a Ko-fi link in the description and in the comments, so if you want to give when I'm not streaming, your kindness is greatly appreciated, and please know this will make a difference for me one way or another. Here's to 20 years of children's card games jokes, and let's hope the next anniversary finds us all in a better place. Thank you.
Indeed, let's hope this the next anniversary finds us in a much better place. So as you can see here, this thing's been up for less than it was up for less than 2 hours, and it's already over 100%. So all I can say is I am very proud of this community for coming together to support Martin and his partner in their time of need. Heck, let's refresh. Holy fuck, 149%. That's almost $25,000 in about 2 hours, guys. So, hell yeah. For the record, I chipped in $25, by the way, for those who are curious. Within like minutes of the original video coming out, I chipped in $25. And yeah, so keep donating. Obviously, I'm sure 20,000 is just the start. And as you all know, houses in Los Angeles and the LA area can be very fucking expensive. You know, house payments can be very fucking expensive in the LA area. So I'm sure 20,000 will unfortunately go pretty quickly. So if you can give money, give money. If you can't give money, that's okay too. Spread awareness of this, and let's get Little Kribo the help he needs. The financial help he needs, obviously. Now, the next fundraiser we're going to be talking about regards the Reading Area Fire Museum, which I may be visiting on Saturday, possibly. I'm not sure. It's about 4.5 hours away from me, so I may go, I may not go. The Reading Area Fire Museum celebrates firefighting in the city of Reading in Berks County in Pennsylvania. And what really interests me about firefighting in Reading in particular is the fact that for years, Reading had volunteer firefighters, despite being a decently sized city of about 100,000 people. Between 70,000 was, I think it bottomed out at like 78,000, and back up to 95,000 now, and it peaked around like 100,000, I believe. But throughout all that time, Reading actually used primarily volunteer firefighters, plus some paid firefighters that were employed primarily as drivers. The city remained a mostly volunteer department until about the late 1980s, and even to the early 2000s, there were still many volunteers in the department. Now, unfortunately, a lot of volunteers left over those next 2 decades, and by 2016, unfortunately, Reading, there were only like a handful of volunteers left, and the city was unable to really pay the workman's comp for like only 5 active volunteers left. So they ended up making the department an all-career department, even though in practice it had already functioned as one for for over a decade by that point. By that point in 2016. However, the 14 fire companies within Reading still exist legally speaking, varying levels of activity on the social side. The Liberty Fire Company, which was formerly Company 5 and operated Engine 5 in the city. Today, their former firehouse is now the Reading Area Fire Museum. It actually became the museum while the firehouse was still active as Engine 5. Engine 5 moved to a new firehouse in 2011. But the Liberty Fire Company still they're still active as a social organization. They still exist. Their primary purpose now is to support the fire museum. As you can see here, I'll go to the page itself. This is what they're fundraising for. As you can see, this one of the volunteer fire companies in Reading, the Reading Hose Company, which is Company 6. They donated $1,000. I donated $125,000 a while ago, and we're doing pretty good, but we're still not quite up to the 32,000 that the museum needs. Now, 1911 American La France Liberty Fire Company purchased as their first motorized piece of Engine 5. It's back in the museum now, but they still need a little bit more money to help get things rolling again. And just provide more money to the museum. It's a very good museum. I'm hoping I'm able to visit it at some point, whether it's this weekend or in the future. And what happened was last year, like late 2024, early 2025, the museum was closed for about 10 months for restoration purposes and to replace the HVAC system. That hurt their income quite a bit. So the money raised here is not only going to help deal with this after they brought it home, but also just help the museum in general because they currently have a bit of a funding shortfall right now. So thank you to those who have donated so far to both the Little Crebo one and the Reading Area Fire Museum one, and hopefully if you're able to donate. If you're not, spread awareness. Look at some of the donations right here. The Reading Hose Company, which is the former Company 6, still active as a social organization, they donated $1,000. The Rainbow Fire Company, which is the very first fire company in the city, which is Company 1. They were founded in 1773. They were Engine 1 for many years until obviously the volunteers went away. They donated $25,000. Like I said, I donated $125 to this campaign and $25 to that campaign. I may donate more to this like later, like in the next couple of days during the donor-thon possibly. And holy shit, 157% now. Again, thank you guys so much for supporting Little Karibo. And if you're able to, let's also support these guys. Like I say, I'm a firefighter. I'm also a massive fucking weeaboo. So both of these fundraisers are very important to me. And I'm also a writer, and the reason I bring that up is because I am writing some more stories, and one of them is called Aylesbury Burning. It's about a fictional city in Pennsylvania named Aylesbury, and the fire department in it is heavily inspired by the Reading Fire Department, in particular how the Reading Fire Department was before the decline in volunteer numbers. The story follows a firefighter who starts off as a junior fireman when they're 14, and it follows them all the way into adulthood, right until they get elected to deputy chief. There's actually two main characters, but the first main character is introduced when she joins the fire department at 14 as a junior, and then yeah. Just see. Okay, all right, that's still on the PC shot. All right. I'm just updating the Yu-Gi-Oh subreddit Discord right now. Because the Yu-Gi-Oh subreddit Discord server is also interested in this. So anyway, as I mentioned, Aylesbury burning is heavily based on the Reading Fire Department, which I got interested in a while ago because I was just so fascinated by the idea of, a city of this size still having, volunteer firefighters for so many years, coming from an area where cities of this size and so much smaller in my area had established paid fire departments decades earlier. The closest I can get to in this area would be Schenectady. My area would be the Schenectady Fire Department. And so Schenectady Fire Department hired paid firemen in 1900. However, they had volunteers in the city until 1960 working alongside them. Although, again, as with Reading, in practice, the city was already effectively an almost all paid department by the time they got rid of the last volunteers in 1960. But still, it was considered very unusual that Schenectady had volunteers up until that time, when every other city around them, like Cohoes, Albany, Watervliet, Troy, Saratoga Springs, Amsterdam, all these other cities, it had established paid fire departments decades before, and got rid of all their volunteers decades before Schenectady, and even a whole century before Reading did. Saratoga Springs got rid of their volunteers in 1883. Schenectady didn't hire any paid staff until 1900, and didn't get rid of their volunteers until 1960. Reading, Pennsylvania hired paid staff a bit more complicated. They weren't hired by the city at first. Initially, they were hired as to tend to horses and to drive the horses that pulled the steam engines and the ladder trucks in like the 1870s. And at the time, the drivers were strictly just drivers, and they were hired by the volunteer fire companies themselves. It wouldn't be until about the 1930s or 1940s, I believe, that the city actually took over the hiring of paid firefighters in the city. And even until the late 1960s, the fire companies themselves will also employ their own separate relief drivers to replace paid staff if they happen to be unavailable. That went away in the 70s, and by the 60s, by the early to mid 70s, all the paid firefighters in Reading were fully employed, fully trained firefighters employed by the city. Now, there was a presentation by former Chief William Rare, who was the chief of the Reading Fire Department for many years. Started off as a volunteer in '59. I think he retired about 10 or 15 years ago as the head chief. It was like 15 years ago as head chief. So they had a fire in 1985 that killed a volunteer firefighter named Donald Jacobs. He was a volunteer with the Washington Fire Company, which was Company 7, and was responsible for operating Ladder 2. They also used to operate Engine 7, but the problem was in the 70s, Reading began cutting back on some of their paid staff and removing driver positions for them. And at the time, and in the Reading Fire Department, volunteers weren't allowed to drive apparatus, which is actually pretty common in some of these small, old combination departments, where basically the paid staff drive the apparatus, volunteers either meet them on scene or stay over at the station, as they did in Reading, and the volunteers had nothing to do with driving at all. In fact, in many places, they were actually forbidden to drive by their SOPs or SOGs or best practices or whatever the fuck you want to call it. So, in the 60s and 70s, Reading began cutting the number of driver positions in order to lower the work week down. The problem was this also had the effect of taking away units from various fire companies. Like, for example, Company 4, which was a Friendship Fire Company. I'll touch the title card, by the way. Company 4, which was a Friendship Fire Company, operated Rescue 1 in the city, but as their name implies, they were also Engine 4. And I guess in I think 1970, early or late 60s, I'm not sure when, Reading decided that Engine 4 didn't need to exist anymore. So they cut Engine 4's driver, which based on a comment that a historian left when he described it, it must have really pissed off the members of the Friendship Fire Company that they lost their engine and now only operate a rescue. Well, same thing happened to the Washington Fire Company. So as a result, they only operate Ladder 2. But I digress. So going back to 1985, there was an arson fire at the YMCA in Reading. and a volunteer firefighter named Donald Jacobs was unfortunately killed alongside, I think, 2 or 3 residents of the YMCA. So after the fire happened, they arrested the arsonist, and he got, I think, he got like life in prison, I believe, which is good. Obviously, he should have. And Redding invited an insurance company to come in and take a assessment of the fire department. First, they reviewed the fire itself, and the company found that operationally, the Reading Fire Department didn't really do anything wrong. There were some minor issues here and there, but there weren't any glaring issues that killed Donald Jacobs. All right, there was nothing wrong with the department operationally overall speaking. But then they reviewed the department as a whole, and they found there was a problem. Now, for some added context, now when I joined as a volunteer firefighter in my department about, holy fuck, 11 years ago, I was told there were some specific training requirements. I had to complete firefighter 1 in within a year and a half of joining, or at least sign up for it. And I had to go through in-house training and all that stuff. And I had to attend a minimum number of drills, a minimum number of meetings, a minimum number of calls to remain an active volunteer firefighter. Here's the problem with Reading, though. The insurance company found that Reading didn't have any standards for their volunteers. Now for some more added context, Donald Jacobs was not one of these guys who had no training or whatnot. Donald Jacobs, God rest his soul, had a shit ton of training, and as a matter of fact, his father was actually a retired lieutenant of the Philadelphia Fire Department. He was one of the guys who had a lot of training, and he was very active in his fire company. He usually slept over at the firehouse at least one night a week to provide additional staffing. I believe that night there were 2 paid firemen on duty at the fire company, because at the time the engines had 1 paid firefighter to drive. The trucks in Rescue 1, the trucks Tower 1 was operated by Company 6, and Rescue 1 was operated by Company 4. Each had 2 paid firefighters. And so there were 2 paid firefighters, a driver and a tillerman, because they operated tillers, and they still operate tillers to this day. And they had 3 volunteers riding with them. All of them were decent firefighters. So at the time, Reading had about 110 paid firefighters who they got off. They had to be EMTs, because up until that point, Reading actually operated the ambulance service for the city. Reading Fire had ambulances. They lost them eventually, but they got them back in 2000. So all their paid firemen had to be at least EMTs. A few of them were paramedics, and they all had to go through like a 10 or 12 week fire academy. Standard 1980s paid fire training stuff. Now, there were also about 200 really active volunteers, all of whom got their training on their own. They all stayed over at the station. They were constantly active. They constantly rode the trucks and everything. But on the books, there was about 10,000 volunteers, and Chief Rare would joke sometimes. He joked in the presentation, and thank God not all 10,000 show up to the same fire, because the span of control would have been completely screwed. And so the problem was there were 10,000 volunteers on the books. Honestly, not all 10,000 were active firefighters. But unfortunately, at the time in Reading, there wasn't really a distinction between active firefighters and just social members. Now, those 200 guys were very good at what they did, but the problem was you'd occasionally have guys that are part of the other group that weren't so active and didn't really have much training, and then you had some guys who the only time they'd ever show up to a call is if they happened to be at the social club attached to the fire company and the tones dropped, and that's not good. That's really not good, especially because they might have been drinking a little bit, or maybe had a few substances before going on the call, which is really, really, really not good. So after the fire, Chief Rare, who was a deputy chief at the time, he was tasked with creating a policy requiring volunteers to get training. So all previous volunteers were given an exemption; they were grandfathered in, but all new volunteers had to have Pennsylvania Firefighter Essentials, which was only 40 hours at the time. And now most of the volunteers that were active and did their stuff didn't mind this, but there were some volunteers who had a problem with it. I guess no, this is all from his presentation, not mine. These are his words, not mine. Well, volunteer went up to Bill Rare and said, "Ah, these regulations are all bullshit." He's probably not exact words, but all these regulations are all bullshit. You're gonna kill the volunteer fire service in the city if you do this shit. And well, first of all, that guy never showed up to any of the required trainings and whatnot because they started requiring their volunteers to go to drills and whatnot after that point. But I will say, obviously now, unfortunately, the volunteers eventually went away in 2016. However, I disagree with the notion that it was the training requirements that killed them. It was just the city was changing, and one example he provides actually. So there's this big university in Reading called Albright College, right? And the university has provided. There's been students and professors who were volunteers in the city at various points. There was one volunteer in the city who was a professor for Albright College. He was a really good guy, according to Bill Rare, and he was a damn good fireman, according to him. And unfortunately, one night he fell through a floor and I guess he fucked his legs up or fucked something up pretty bad because he was out of work for a while. And the college wasn't happy about that, and they told him, "Listen, buddy, you can either be a fireman or a professor." So he had to leave the fire department at that point. And when Bill told that story presentation, I was like, I wasn't there in person, but I was like, okay. First off, that is very fucked up. Like, that is extremely fucked up of the college to do. And second, at least in New York State, that actually might be illegal in some states. I'm not sure about Pennsylvania, but I think that might be illegal in a few states to discriminate against him on the basis that he is a volunteer firefighter. And like I said, even if it's not legal, it is extremely fucked up for the college to do that to him. But yeah, like I said, the city was just changing a lot. It was getting poorer. The 90s were a very rough time in Reading, and unfortunately, that rough period happened to hit right at the same time that the volunteer numbers started going way down the rest of the country, and it just hit Reading harder. And what wasn't mentioned by Rare, there was another incident in the late 80s. So the city tried to make even more cutbacks and whatnot. Now the paid firemen couldn't go on strike, and they still can't go on strike because of public union laws and whatnot. So the problem was the city wanted to cut back the number of fire stations, the number of fire apparatus, which would deprive the volunteers of their stations and their trucks they still had, and also get rid of some of the paid staff too. So if they managed to unite paid and volunteer firemen, and if you know anything about that, unfortunately there's been some conflicts between paid and volunteer firemen regarding unions and jobs and whatnot. Sorry. So the fact they managed to unite both of them together in pissing them off really says something about how ridiculous this whole proposal was from the city. Like congratulations, city government. You managed to unite the two sides that normally are at each other's throats into one group that really fucking hate you. Like, congratulations, guys. I'm not dying, don't worry. Anyway, so paid staff couldn't go on strike, but the volunteer firemen couldn't go on strike. So the volunteers went on strike for like a week, and during that time, the paid firemen had to pick up the slack. They staffed the rigs with a minimum number of 2 people, and yeah. And eventually, they were able to prevent the cuts from happening, at least for a little while longer. But there were some issues that also led to some lingering issues with the volunteer side. That also contributed to some of the decline as well. Like I said, by 2016, there were only like 5 or 6 volunteers left, and the city wasn't really going to be willing to pay out workman's comp for just 5 or 6 fucking people. So they ended up just they unfortunately got rid of the volunteer fire program, even though at that point, like I said, the department was basically an all paid department in practice within, but operationally for at least a decade, if not longer, at that point. So yes, eventually the volunteer system died in Reading, but I refuse to believe that it was the training requirements, because there are plenty of volunteer departments that still exist that have these same requirements. Obviously they're not doing great because the volunteer numbers are down everywhere, but like they still exist. hell, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is in a similar state to Reading, and yet their volunteer numbers are not only they don't only have still have volunteers, but they actually gained a volunteer fire company back. Harrisburg used to have 16 fire companies. All but two of them faded away over time. But a couple years ago, one of them came back not only as a social organization but as an active firefighting organization too. Three companies that exist in Harrisburg still are the Mount Pleasant Fire Company, which is associated with Squad 8, the Camp Curtin Fire Company, which operates out of Station 1, I believe, which is a merger of a whole bunch of volunteer fire companies that came together in Station 1. And then recently, the Allison Hook and Ladder Company came back. They initially they existed on paper, but they weren't like active until they became a social organization again about 15 years ago. And then a couple years after that, I think like 2018, 2019, the Allison Hook and Ladder Company was officially reactivated as an active firefighting unit within the Harrisburg Bureau of Fire, which is their actual name. It's not fire department; it's the Harrisburg Bureau of Fire. They don't respond out of the Allison Hook and Ladder Firehouse because that's just like a museum and a social hall now. Instead, their volunteers can ride out of any station in the city, asking the volunteers of any of the other two fire companies that are still active. Although they prefer to have them ride out of Station 2 and ride out of the ladder truck out of there for obvious reasons, because the ladder truck out of Station 2 is descended from the ladder truck that used to be based out of the Allison Hill station when it was still active. Harrisburg is proof that it wasn't that one volunteer cleaning out the train standards was wrong. It was just changing demographics and whatnot. It wasn't the training requirements. Like I said, I came in an area where I'm used to having you have to complete firefighter 1 or BFO or fire police or wherever the fuck you need to complete in like a year, and you gotta do so many drills, so many calls and whatnot. I came in an area where that was expected of me. Whereas and just hearing that so many people resisted those bare minimum requirements, just kind of shocking to me. And yeah. So anyway, I feel like maybe if things had been different, like maybe if the numbers didn't go down so much, I can guarantee right now there probably still would be volunteer firefighters in Reading. Whether it be a crap ton? No, but there'd probably still be a bunch running or be figuring out. It probably still exist. It probably would still exist if there were like 20 of them. I think Harrisburg has like 30. Has like 30 or something. I don't know the exact. They don't post the exact numbers publicly, but I think Harrisburg has like 30. Honestly, they don't respond to the scene. They ride the trucks with paid staff. I think there's usually at least one volunteer just on duty somewhere in the city in Harrisburg, which is good because Harrisburg also runs their staff. They should also short staff their rigs. They have like 2 guys per engine and 3 guys in each truck and 3 guys in Squad 8. Reading is a bit worse. Reading runs 2 people in each engine, truck, and rescue. And 2 people in each ambulance, obviously, because they run the ambulances now. They gave the ambulances back in 2000 after they had lost them for about 15 years. So Reading is running a fucking 2 people per rig. And they run tillers of 2 people per rig, which is really, really something. Just, oh my god. I thought 3 was cutting it close. 2, oh boy. Keep in mind, Reading has 95,000 people living in it right now, and the population is growing. It's actually growing now. Reading's turned itself around in the last 2 decades. I hate to say it, Reading, I don't mean to use this language too much, but like Reading was kind of a shithole in the like late 80s to the early 2000s. But ever since like a lot of Hispanic people moved into Reading, a lot of Latinos, Mexicans, Guatemalans, and just Hispanics Latinos from all over Latin America have moved into Reading, and the city's really turned around. Now, is it perfect? No, there's still a decent amount of crime in there, but is the crime rate a lot lower than it was in the 2000s? Absolutely. Reading has really turned itself around, like I said, and the population's going up. 95,000 people, and the city still only has about like 140 paid firefighters. Now, by contrast, Schenectady has about 65,000 people, and employs 112 firefighters, 4 stations, 4 engines, 2 trucks, Each staff with 3 people, plus a 2-man rescue company that primarily does EMS and a deputy chief. And even their union is demanding they should have more staff, and they should, because Sanctity Fire is really fucking busy. They're on like 20,000 calls a year, and their guys are sick of getting their asses kicked every single time they go on shift for 24 hours. They need more rigs in the city. Then Albany has about the same population as Reading, maybe slightly higher, but they have almost twice as many paid firefighters. They have like 260 paid firefighters in Albany. Now, to be entirely fair, part of that is the fact that Albany is the state capital. They get state government money to have more firefighters on duty. But still, Reading needs more paid firefighters, especially since the volunteers are not, they don't exist, barring a Hail Mary, they're not coming back. So it's absolutely insane that Reading is running fucking 2 people per rig in a city that large with high-rise buildings. In fact, tallest building in the city is the Berks County Courthouse, and that's like I think how tall is the Berks County Courthouse? Let me look it up. The Berks County Courthouse has 22 stories and 275 feet tall. Imagine a fire on the top floor of that fucking building, and you're pulling up with I swear a lot. Just bear with it. I'm sorry. It's streaming stuff and whatnot. Anyway, imagine a fire on the 22nd floor of that building. You're pulling up with fucking 2 people on the first due engine and first due truck. Do you think that's gonna go well? If your answer is yes, you really don't know anything about firefighting. I'm just gonna say that right now. But your answer, if you even know the tiniest bit about firefighting, should be fuck no. It should be hell no. Hell no. That's not gonna go well at all. Oh my god. So that's a big tangent. Anyway, so yeah, definitely look into the Reading Fire Department. It's a really interesting department. And I'll tell you what, even with the limited manpower they have, those guys in Reading kick ass when it comes to firefighting. I've seen videos of them fight fires. They all do a pretty damn good job given how shit their manpower is and how busy they are, because they're pretty busy. They're not as busy per capita as Schenectady, but Reading is still a decently busy fire department. They see a lot of medical calls. Like I said, they provide EMS to the entire city, and they provide ambulance services to the entire city. And they see a lot of fires, and there's a lot of fires in Reading. It's a very old city, a very old industrial city. Like I said, it's been turning itself around in the last 2 decades. There's still some problems, but it's much better than it was in the past. But there's still a lot of fires in Reading, and throughout Berks County in general. Berks County has a whole lot of firefighting history in it. Like I said, if I'm able to go to the museum on Saturday, it'll be a long drive, but I think it'll be worth it. And yeah, just the history of it all is what really inspired me to start writing Aylesbury Burning. I got 1 chapter completely done. The 2nd chapter will be done shortly. I may post it at some point very soon. And yeah. So like I said, if you still need the links, this is the page for the Reading Area Fire Museum fundraiser. Right here. It's on GoFundMe. And here's the page for Little Kribos. And let's check the holy fuck, 180%. This all oh my god. How much is that? Times 0.80. $36,000 raised in about 3 hours, guys. God damn. Oh my god. Remember the most important thing to do. Check his pulse, Yugi. Oh my god, the fucking 4 Kids references Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge or something. Oh man. Oh man. Some of these draw credit card 0. Screw your debt, we have money. The ocean says yes to you reaching your goal. Thank you, Mako Tsunami, or as known in Japan, Ryota Kajiki. That's use equivalent of 20 pounds of silicone. Fucking harpy lady reference. I love, you know, I love both the heartwarming ones like this one from CG here, as well as the funny as well as the funny ones from Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge references like this one or the ocean or the whole screw the rules I have money one here. Ah man. I think I found Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge in like 2010, 2009 or 2010, I think. And man, it's been 20 years and it's still going. It's been going. It's been ups and downs. There's been months where nothing's been posted, and this month we got fucking 2 episodes posted in like the span of a month, which is really something. But like I said, man, you know, go support Little Karibo and go support the Reading Area Fire Museum. They both need your help. They both need your help. And tell you what, I am so fucking proud of the Yu-Gi-Oh community for coming together so quickly to support Little Karibo and his partner in their time of need. It really makes me proud to be a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, who have been one for, I want to say 23 years now. 23, maybe 24 years since I first saw Yu-Gi-Oh on Cartoon Network. And yeah. Man. That's something, man. This show brings people together. For example, actually, speaking of Little Karibo, so Dan Green is the voice actor for Yugi and Yami Yugi, or Tem as you may call him. And a while back, his wife gave birth to twins. The twins are okay. The twins are okay, thank God. But unfortunately, his wife had a medical emergency shortly after the birth, and she died. And actually, let me see if I can pull up the James Snyder, because Dan Green's actual name is actually Jay Snyder, believe it or not. Dan Green is actually a YouTube. It's actually not YouTube. It's not YouTube. No. He'd been working way before YouTube was a thing. But Dan Green is actually a stage name. Let's pull up the PC shot. Here's a New York Daily News article from 2011. So this is his wife, and Jay Snyder, who is Dan Green. So unfortunately, his wife passed away from complications just 4.5 hours after their twins were born, which is really terrible. And it's just, and this article is really something. It really is something. Oh man. So after that happened, the Yu-Gi-Oh community came together and created card games for charity, which is the video right here. And they held a charity stream to support Dan Green in his time of need. Like I said, I'm very proud, and they raised a lot of money too, I believe. I don't know the exact amount. They raised a lot of money for him to support him in his efforts. And I find it very fitting that now, in Little Karibo's time of need himself, the community is rallying together behind them. So said, you know, just very proud to be in this community. Ah, man. Anyway, I'll be right back. I just gotta do something real quick. So I'll be right back, guys. We'll see you soon. I just had to send some messages on Discord to some people. Nothing crazy, just marking about the fundraiser and whatnot. And speaking of the Little Kribo fundraiser, proud to announce we're up to 189% for the fundraiser. Hell yeah, brothers, let's go. And sisters, and non-binary siblings, of course, but hell yeah, everybody, let's go. And, yeah, like I said, I'm very proud of everyone for doing this. And, you know what? To celebrate, let's play some fucking Yu-Gi-Oh to celebrate. Hell yeah. Oh, specifically, we're gonna play some Dueling Nexus. We're probably gonna fucking suck at it, but who cares? Let me just log in here real quick. Alright, let's put the PC shot on and play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Or some Dueling Nexus. Do a quick bot duel with one of the old decks. See how it goes. So many ads, but who cares? I'm going first. Alright. Okay. I almost Ash Blossomed myself. Oops. I'll Ash Blossom that shit. Oh yeah, here we go, baby. Add that Blue Eyes back to my hand. Oh, he has a Blue Eyes deck. The bot has a Blue Eyes deck too. Interesting. Okay. Alright, just two blue eyes, one in his field and one in his hand. And fuck, I just lost that. Ugh, that sucked. It's a dragon, though. Shit. Screw it. I'll figure a way out. Aha! All right. Shit, and I fucking wasted that card. God damn it. Ouch. Let's see. Shit. Oh, I'm probably gonna lose. God damn it. Ooh. Ooh, there's a fire in Albany. 52 Adriana Lane, second alarm. Oh yeah, I'm fucking dead. Top archetypes. We'll do another bot duel. Why not? Okay, finally a result. He's going first, I'm going second. Damn, 3 negates. 3 attack negation cards in one hand. Yeah, this bot's fucked. There we go. No, we'll do a single duel against an actual human this time. All right. All right, negated. Let's go. Oh, that sucks. Do have Mirror Force, though. I see. All right. Okay. All right. It's a dragon, but it's also a sea serpent. Interesting. I see. I see. Oh, wait. Oh, God, I didn't even have the desktop audio on. Oh, yep. My bad. Because I didn't have it on during the fucking little Karibo video. God damn it. Fuck. Wait, I did, but I turned it off, I think. I'm doing the intermission. long time to make a decision here. Whoever they are. Send chems. Okay. Mirror Force. Shit. Shit out of luck right now. Yeah, I'm SOL, guys. I'm fucking cooked. Huh? Hold on a sec. They're not attacking again for game? Wait, can they? Hold on. Okay, then. Say, I have no other options. It's just like the only thing I can do. Yep. Yep, I'm fucked. I'm completely fucked. I'm fucked in this duel. What the hell? Yeah, I got nothing, dude. You kill me. Fucking kill me. Huh? I'm inviting you to fucking kill me. What's this guy doing? You're gonna... what's happening. I'm gonna go check in on the. 212%, boys. Hell yeah. What are you doing? I got nothing. Fucking kill me already. I'm deliberately making awful decisions at this point just so he can get annoyed and destroy me. Kill me, please. Somebody fucking kill me. I don't understand this guy and how he works at all, or how they work. My apologies. $15,000 attack points. Holy shit, dude. Ah, yes, the GY zone. Not the graveyard, the GY. dude's gonna fucking... Or they're gonna fucking deck out. I don't... This is torture. This is fucking torture. I really don't understand what's going on at all. Why is he not attacking? Down to one. They're down to one fucking card. They're gonna deck out on turn 20 if they don't fucking attack. I'm a little worried about this, actually. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Unleash that knife. Oh, that was not bad, actually. That was not bad. Definitely an interesting duel. Anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in. And, and thank you for watching. Again, support the fundraisers. They're linked in the description and linked in the chat.